Are you a business owner or employee who needs to network but is terrified of walking into a room full of people you don't know? Are you afraid of being left out of conversations or being awkward in the conversations you do have? Your tour guide, Faithann, is here to walk alongside you through the networking terrain, offering tips and tricks to network with ease. She'll also bring insightful interviews with successful business owners who have used networking to expand their businesses. Building relationships is the heart of networking, and generosity is the cruise ship that will navigate you toward those important relationships for your business or career. Grab your sunscreen and suitcase. Faithann is ready. Are you?
Hello there, and welcome to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. I'm glad you found the show. Networking is providing opportunities for others that they would not have except for you, so that you have standing to ask for opportunities from people when you need them. How do we create opportunities for others, and how do we ask for those same opportunities? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. It's what I'm here for. Let's dive into episode 38. Welcome to this episode, listeners. I have a wonderful guest with me this morning, Rodger Taylor. Rodger, thanks for saying yes to coming onto the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
So I met Rodger through networking, of course, and so a mutual friend introduced us, Jackie, and I met her in the Sales Maven Society, and we had a virtual one-to-one, and she thought that you and I, Rodger, would be a good connection, and so she connected us, and you're doing some wonderful things in your local area in North Carolina for networkers. And I was looking at your stuff online, and you've got this wonderful organization that you and your wife, Melissa, have founded called Network Build Grow. So tell the listeners a little bit about all the hard work you've done to support the businesses in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Sure. Well, we started about 8 years ago, and it kind of evolved into something where now we really focus on both professional and personal development of our members. We've got most of our members in the greater Charlotte area, but we do have them across the United States and even some internationally, with both virtual and in-person events. And, it's really just about that mind of abundance and helping everyone grow. And one of the things, and I know we're going to talk about this a little bit today, that, I've really been focused on recently is just this idea of how to use follow-up to expand your network. So we've tried to kind of evangelize that with our members.
That's wonderful. So your organization is member-based, and you have events, but your events are much more than just the networking meetings. I'm looking at your calendar, and you have meetups like meet and greets, happy hours. You have book club. You have what I like, the strategic collaborative. So right. I'm familiar with that from BNI, which is Business Network International, and they call them power spheres or contact spheres or power teams. And You're taking that same idea of, if we do a financial planner and a tax attorney and an life insurance person, and we get them together so they can strategically talk about passing referrals and anything in their businesses that might help them also grow. Those are those kind of events that you have, in addition to the networking events. And you have, which is, I guess it's different. In Oklahoma, I don't really know if we have an organization that combines virtual and in person. So that's fun.
Yeah. We do have a little bit of everything for everybody, I guess, at times. And we have a lot of them too, because some events, like we've got things called huddles, where we keep it a little bit smaller for a reason, because we want to go around and specifically work on people's problems or pain points and kind of mastermind around that. So we have big signature events, sometimes where we have lunch and we bring a speaker in and it's 60 people. We have other events where, it might be 5 people or 10 people. And we do a combination of virtual and in person. People still love in-person events, right? But everyone can't make everything. And by having virtual events, which really kind of exploded during COVID, right? Mm-hmm. People that aren't in the greater Charlotte area or just can't make an event can participate.
So how do you limit the huddles? Like, just practically, how does that work?
right now, if we needed another huddle, we would add it. But right now, the number of people that tend to register for the huddles is kind of at a steady state between 7 and 15, 16 people. So, the more people, a little bit less time we can spend on each person, but it varies in between. So if we had too many, we would probably just put another huddle on the calendar.
Okay, and like you'd said, it's like each member gets a little bit more than just a time to say who they're looking for, but they actually get to
Oh, yeah.
ask, like, this is my big problem this week. And then,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's really less about talking about what you do and more about sharing something that you need feedback on. It might be a struggle. It might just be I was wondering how people have done this before, because most likely somebody has either faced that challenge in the past or has an idea about something. And that's the beauty of a network, right? That you get that feedback from others. So very much so more about addressing issues in their business.
wow, what a resource. What a great resource. I'm thinking, especially for a new business owner, they may have these challenges, but they cannot go out immediately and hire a team for their
Exactly.
social media. And they can't hire a team for their HR and a team for their benefits and the team for this and that. And so, what a great resource for these business owners to come with people who genuinely want to help them thrive and say, okay, this is what's going on. Or like you said, it doesn't have to be a struggle. It can be, hey, help me get the word out about this thing I'm doing on Thursday or
Right.
something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, well, before we get into this follow-up thing that you have is so important for networking, I just want to ask, what made you start this network build grow? What started this journey for you and Melissa?
Well, Melissa at the time in the business that she was running knew that she needed to network. This is, probably 10 years ago or so. But she also found as our kids were younger that none of the networking events were at a time that she could participate, either very early in the morning or after school. So we decided to just go ahead and start our own meetup. We started as a free meetup group.
Mm,
And it just gradually began to grow, and we always wanted to bring in some sort of bit of value and not just have it be an exchange of business cards, which is important to meet new people, right? But we always tried to also bring in something a little extra to give value to the people that were coming. And then as it grew, and then as COVID hit, we decided to go ahead and turn it into a membership model. So around 2020, I think, is when later in 2020 we did that, and it just kind of grew from there. And I can say that, and my wife would tell you this, that her business has 100% been built based on networking. Not advertisements, not um, all organic networking is how she's been able to grow her business. So, we saw the value at the beginning, and it's clearly played itself out that way.
that's wonderful. And I hear that often. And for our business, our other business, Window Cleaning Plus, we
Yep,
purchased it as a route, but we grew it through networking. Now,
exactly.
I was but something you said piqued my curiosity. So you started out as a free, and then you transitioned to a membership base. Did you lose a lot of people? Or was that an easy transition for the people who were coming?
No, it was a fairly easy transition, and I think it's one of those things where, and we didn't do it for this reason, but when people have an investment in a group, they're much more likely to participate. I know, and we've been a part of a lot of different meetups, and we had lots of people join the meetup, but the percentage of people that were coming obviously was the percentage was low. I mean, we had good participation, but based on the number of people that, quote unquote, joined the group, it was relatively low participation percentage wise. So when we turned it into a membership group, I think the people that really saw the value and joined the membership, they showed up, and they attended. Now, just like any membership, we have people that are involved each and every week. We have people that are a little less than that. We have some people that don't join a lot, but that's just the nature of a membership. But no, it didn't go down.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And so when did you move from the free to the paid? What year was
I
that?
think it was around 2020.
Okay. And you have a great, I mean, you have the track record. You're still here. So,
Yeah.
and you're making an impact in the lives of your members because Jackie recommended, she connected us. So she wouldn't have done that if you weren't providing an enormous bit of value to her and many, many other people. So that's wonderful. And so now I'd like to talk to you about follow up because this does seem to be your specialty, and you have created a system for following up with those business owners that we meet at networking meetings. So tell us about that, and then tell us what should we do and not do when it comes to following up with those people that we meet at networking meetings.
Yeah, sure. So this is, it's an age-old topic, right? About networking follow-up, and everybody agrees that follow-up's important, but in general, we most of us don't do as good a job with follow-up as we'd like to. So, when I talk to people about follow-up, we talk about a couple of things, like why does that happen? And when we get past that and we do our follow-up, what should we do to make sure our follow-up is effective? So maybe I'll back up and just talk a little bit about um, why we don't follow up. And we've asked this question a lot. And you've probably heard it a lot. Anybody that networks and asks this question has probably heard the same things. Um, we say, why don't we follow up consistently? And we'll hear things like, I don't have time, or it's too time consuming, or I don't want to be annoying, or I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all very real issues, but I don't think they're the real problem. I think the real problem is a little further down, because most people, I think, want to build meaningful professional relationships. They do say that it matters, but their behavior tells a little bit of a different story. And that gap or that disconnect creates a not so good feeling, right? It actually creates something called cognitive dissonance, which is just that internal discomfort of saying that relationships are important, yet consistently delaying or just not doing follow-up altogether. And it kind of wears on us, right? Knowing that we're continually not doing something that we say could have an impact. So why does that happen? And I don't really follow this guy, but I stole a quote from him. So Brendan Bouchard said, and I think it's very applicable here, that people don't necessarily lack motivation, they lack belief.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if we don't truly believe that our follow-up will lead to real opportunities, then it's easy to push it aside because networking is a longer game. Relationship building is a longer game. So we don't have that immediate impact. So if you can't draw a direct line between your follow-up and success in your network, it's hard to truly believe that it matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's kind of the mindset shift that I like to go through with people to say, look, think of it this way. I like to call it a healthy FOMO. Try to develop a healthy fear of missing out
Mm-hmm.
on that next great connection.
Oh, that's great. That's going to be a quote. I can tell already. Okay. I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead.
That's all right. No, I mean, when you meet someone for the first time, every relationship starts with an introduction,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't matter who it is. And then that relationship grows by continuing to nurture the relationship, right? We don't know at the beginning what that relationship could turn into. So I like to say that every connection holds potential, every single one of them, right? And when we truly believe that every connection holds potential, then follow-up becomes more like a habit we want to keep doing, right? When we shift our mindset that way, follow-up stops feeling like a task or a chore. It starts feeling like a superpower within our networking that's going to really have an impact on the success of our business. So it kind of comes down to that belief. And I know that's a mindset thing. Some people are like, oh, mindset. I'm kind of one of those people. However, I've thought about this a lot, and I truly think that this mindset shift can have a lasting impact on everyone's business when it comes to networking.
Well, that's so good. Let me recap what you said. So you said that Rodger's saying that we might tell ourselves that we don't have time to follow up, that we don't want to be annoying or that we don't know what to say, but really it's just we don't believe that it's going to be fruitful. And he's telling us to switch the mindset to a healthy fear of missing out by understanding that every single person that we meet has the potential to bring opportunities to us. And I would add, Rodger, that every single person that we meet has the potential for us to give to them as well. So
Absolutely.
it's the opportunity street is a two-way street. And
Yep.
man, when you have something you really need to promote or to let people know about, isn't it so much easier to go back to those people that you have stayed in touch with to ask to help you than people that you only talk to once a year? You know,
Yeah.
if you're staying connected with people on a regular basis, those are the people that you don't hesitate when you're like, oh, man, I've got this thing coming up. I need to tell 12 people about it. Well, the people that you're following up with are the people that you're most comfortable asking for help for cheerleaders.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one distinction I'll make too, and this is kind of assumed in these conversations, but it's not always obvious to everyone, is that, we're talking about networking, right? Just to be clear, if people go to networking events just looking for clients, that's prospecting, right? We're talking about networking, which is the longer sustainable game, and it's that network that we can then reach out to, just like you're saying now. When you have an issue, if you need to reach out to get help, it's that network that's going to bring it to you. And yeah, if you've continued to follow up and left the door open, and you've developed that relationship, then those conversations are much, much easier. And by the way, I don't want to downplay the I don't want to be annoying, I don't have time, it's too time consuming. Those are true issues, which we try and fix with other things like systems and all that. But the underlying problem really is the belief.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think also too, some of it could be, I'm not good enough. I'm not experienced enough. I'm so new that this person doesn't, he won't want to hear from me because I'm not equal. I'm not all these dumb things we tell ourselves.
Hi, listeners. Do you struggle when it comes time to deliver your introduction or pitch at your networking meetings? Faithann has put together the 8 tips she uses to make her introduction stand out when she networks. And now you can use them too. Imagine walking into your next event with confidence, knowing exactly how to stand out so people actually remember you. These tips are designed to spark your creativity so you can bring more personality, energy, and originality into your introduction, helping you feel more confident and making it easier for people to connect with you. Grab your free copy of 8 Ways to Make Your Introduction Stand Out by clicking the link in the show notes and download it today.
And I think even if you're new or you're inexperienced or you're new in business, new to networking, if you just approach it with that mindset of, and like you mentioned, trying to serve others, you're not asking for things from other people. So it's not like that's why people don't like sales, right? Because they're asking for something. If you take the approach of, I want to give, can I help you? Any way that you can serve others, then it's a much easier conversation to reach out and try to help versus reach out and try to ask.
Right. And that the business will come if you are the right solution for that person. Yep. And if 6 months from now their mother needs XYZ and you're the XYZ, but
That's
you've
right.
built the relationship first, then that person's going to refer. And that's what it's all about, is relationship building, staying top of mind, and making people feel like they matter to you. And it's not just a sales. One of the things, like Jackie is part of the Sales Maven Society, where Jackie and I met, and Nikki Roush, and she talks about the selling staircase, and she talks about invitations. So you don't start your sales pitch if you haven't been invited. So if someone's given you no buying signals at all, and you don't jump, you've got to have the invitation, but it all starts with the rapport building that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. No unsolicited sales pitches, right?
Yeah, right. Now, one thing I do like, however, about meetings that have a pitch component is that I think of it more like I'm training the people in my network to listen for possible referrals for me. So
Sure.
that's why my phrasing is always, I'm looking for your friend. I'm looking for your neighbor who. I'm looking for your coworker that has just. I'm not ever looking for you. I'm looking for the people you have influence over. And then if you fit my description, you'll walk up to me and you'll say, hey, we need to talk. So that's the beauty of doing that. But that is a specific thing. It's a specific 1 minute of asking, but then the rest of the time it's relationship building, asking for introductions, making introductions like Jackie did, making these wonderful introductions, and creating opportunities for other people.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say about, follow up, a couple of things. If you're really into making sure you want to get the return on your time investment for networking, you'll follow up, because if you don't follow up, you really are not going to get that return. Just going to networking events and meeting some people and never following up. And I mean, really, it's more like a social hour versus building a network. So there's that time in the game when you're face to face with people or on Zoom with people. And then there's that back office time when you need to support it with this thing called follow up. And I think with follow up, I think there's three non-negotiables in your follow up. And the first one actually has to do with when you're meeting somebody for the first time. It's even before the follow up. And number one is we've got to stop making summary judgments on how valuable somebody could be in the first 30 seconds of meeting them, right? I mean, we've all done it. We talk to somebody and they start telling us what they do and everything, and you're like, yeah, I'll never do anything with this person. I can't really do anything for them. They can't bring any value to me. You don't know that, right? You just can't know that at the very beginning. Just keep reminding yourself, FOMO, fear of missing out. What if this person lives next to somebody that they have a neighbor that, through some conversations, we're going to hook up and get introduced, and they're just going to change our business. Now, your first impression might turn out to be correct, but don't limit the possibilities from the beginning, right? Go ahead. It doesn't take much to follow up a few times, keep that door open, and see if it leads anywhere. And then the second thing, and this is where most people get hung up, you've got to stand out in your follow-up. So like Faithann, if you and I just met and I sent you an email message that said, hey Faithann, it was great meeting you at the huddle yesterday. Let's stay in touch. I mean, yeah, sure. I sent you an email message, but how would that make you feel?
Just like anybody else. Plus, you're putting a lot of work on me, because if you say, let's stay in touch, it's inherent in that statement is that, okay, well, if there's going to be more connection happening, it's going to have to be, I have to initiate it.
Falling on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would make you feel, I would think it would make you feel like I just checked a box, right? That I sent that to probably 15 other people, that maybe I didn't even write it. Maybe I didn't even listen to a word that we said in our conversation, right? And all it takes, what if I said this? What if I said, hey, Faithann, great meeting you at the huddle yesterday. I really enjoyed our conversation about your networking tour guide group that you're building, and some of the suggestions that you gave me. I'm going to try them out. Thanks a lot. Let's stay in touch. Right now, with that one sentence, I've made it personal. Right. I made it personal. You're the only person I could have sent that to, nobody else. And then I could take it one step further and just say, hey, I know we just met, but if there's any specific type of connection you're looking for that I might be able to make for you in my network, let me know. Right now, I've added value. So just two additional sentences, and it didn't take me long. I made it personal and I added value. And that's going to help you stand out from all the other generic noise that people get sometimes, that people call follow-up, but really turns into noise.
And then you have one more thing for follow-up, you said?
Oh yeah. All of this works. Well, I'll go back and say, like, when you're trying to stand out, let me just give you some examples of things you can do to stand out besides just that. How you can add value, how you can make it personal, because that really leads into the third thing that we have to do. Like, make a proactive introduction, like we already said. You can, be a connector. This might be a little harder if you're just starting out networking, but chances are, based on things your contacts tell you about themselves, right? Get them talking about themselves, right? And remember what they're saying. You know someone they should maybe at least try to meet. You're not necessarily making a referral, you're just making a connection, and the rest is up to them. That's very valuable. You could send someone a relevant article or resource. If you read a blog and you know that there's 3 people that popped into your head that could benefit from that. Maybe it's a personal interest. I don't know. Maybe you read something on fishing and you know people that like to fish. Just send it over to them. Hey, I saw this and I thought of you. Hope you enjoy it. If you haven't already seen it, right? It adds value. You can, comment on a social post or send somebody a congratulations via email because you saw something on social media, right? All these things, there's lots of them, but you can just take a quick minute to do something that adds value to them. And the point in going through all those is to say, do the third thing, which is tracking your follow-up. The only way you can do all of these things I just went through is if you have the right context for your contacts, right? And I'll explain that. If you want to consistently follow up, you have to track it, because if you don't track it, you probably won't do it. And even if you remember to do it, again, you won't have all of that valuable context to make it personal or valuable. So I don't care what you use, and it certainly doesn't have to be fancy, but you've got to use something, either a notebook or a spreadsheet, maybe a CRM. And I say maybe just because it's got to serve your purpose. And I could go down a couple of different rabbit holes here. I'll just say that a lot of times when I talk to our group, I'm talking about technology. I'll just suffice it to say, make sure your technology serves your needs. It's got to serve your process and your business needs, because if it doesn't, then it's just technology. And if you're networking, if that's a big part of your marketing strategy, make sure you're either using technology or you set up your existing technology to enable those activities. That's why I created neteffect.io. I'll tell you what we have done over the years. We do a lot of marketing automation. So we made our marketing automation system work for our follow-up, but it wasn't easy. I had to figure out how to do automations and do some hacks and do some configuration to make it work for what we needed for follow-up. Most people really don't want to do that, right? So we had to figure it out. I went out and looked to see if there was anything that could do it, and I really didn't find much. And that's why, I created neteffect.io specifically for networkers, right? So I don't call it a CRM because it's not. It's not about sales pipelines and deals. It's about individual relationships and how we can grow those relationships as quickly and as confidently as possible. So yeah, that was a long answer to the 3 things, but stop summary judgments, number 1.
Right.
Number 2, you got to stand out. And number 3, you've got to track it, or it becomes really much more difficult.
Right. And so the neteffect.io, that can be used by anybody in the country, right? Or is it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a web app, a SaaS application that allows you to go in. And I won't get into it here, but I mean, it does a lot of stuff for you, and all those things that we talked about. I don't have time, I don't know what to say. It tries to address those surface level issues so that if you have your belief that now you're going to go do it, it helps you with those other annoying things that you try to solve, like time, what to say, recommendations, when to follow up, all of that stuff.
Okay, that sounds great. A tool that networkers can use for follow-up. Once they have that belief that it's important and it's worth your time, then if they have something like that you've created to help them do it better, then they're more likely to really build some relationships that they need. I wanted to ask you as we wrap this up, how many times do you recommend? So let's say you've got your system, you've got your belief, you're not making excuses, and you have reached out to the same person 3 times and nothing. What do we do then? And how do we keep ourselves from getting too discouraged when those kinds of things happen.
Those things do happen for sure. I would always encourage people to, number one, don't take it personally, right? People get busy. Keep following up. Now, everybody's going to be different. You can follow up with someone 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and then maybe you mark them as dormant, like in what we did in net effect. So now your follow-up interval is going to get a little bit longer. So maybe now we're just going to try and follow up with them, once every 2 or 3 months versus once every 14 days. But absolutely keep going. Melissa just told me the other day, this was actually it was a potential client. She followed up with them, I think probably 15 times. And they finally got back to her and said, "Yep, I'm ready." Right.
Wow.
So it was just, they had kind of ghosted her, but the whole time they were still reading the stuff. They were still considering it. Right. And eventually they were ready to buy. Now that was a prospect and a client, but the same thing can happen with just a resource or a strategic alliance or referral partner. Right. They might just be busy. They might just be bad at getting back to people, but continue to do it at least 5 or 6 or 7 times, I would say.
Okay. That's a good number that's not too laborious. 5, 6, 7 times.
No.
And then if you want to spread out the follow-ups in a larger interval, you can.
Sure.
And you just never know. Like you said, people and things are always changing. So, when my father passed away in 2019, the day he passed away, I became my mother's full-time caregiver because she had dementia. So all of a sudden, all these the whole health industry,
Right.
I never paid attention to any of those places, anything that had to do with aging or taking care of people with dementia.
Yep.
Didn't pay attention. Now all of a sudden I'm in the market for something, like I need something. So things like that happen all the time. People don't stay in the same exact state. So that's another reason why that follow-up is important, because people's lives change, which then causes them to need different things.
Yeah. You're just trying to stay, with your follow-up, you're trying to stay top of mind so that when that thing comes up and now it applies to you, you're top of mind for that person, right? I think a lot of people also just think about follow-up as chasing people down. And especially if you're prospecting, you're trying to chase people down to sell. The other thing to think about and to frame it this way, follow-up is simply about keeping the door open to see where the relationship might lead. That's all it is. You're not chasing somebody down to get something from them. You're just keeping the door open and seeing where that relationship could lead.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. Thanks for saying yes. And I always ask guests 2 questions as we wrap things up. What do you like to see when you network?
What do I like to see? I like to see when people are okay being vulnerable about their business. Back to the example of the huddle, we've had people before that, and they'll get 5 or 6 or 7 minutes and they'll talk the entire time about what they do and why they're so great at it, which I understand you need to present a good front. But the purpose of the huddle is for you to tell us something that's not going well. Tell us a struggle you're having, right? And it's okay to be vulnerable when you're networking, especially if somebody asks you, "Hey, what are you struggling with right now?" The answer probably shouldn't be, "Oh, nothing, everything's great," right? I like it when people are okay being vulnerable because they're going to get some great feedback that's going to help them take care of that struggle.
That's a great answer. Very, very good. And what do you not like to see when you network?
Yeah, so this one's a no-brainer, and probably everybody says this, but I just don't like it when you can just tell that somebody has selfish intentions when they network. It's all about them. They're there to talk about themselves and to get stuff from you and to, I don't know, push their stuff on you, as opposed to feeling like they're there to learn more about me, right? So back to what you said earlier, having that service mentality of seeing what we can do for them. That's how I like to see people show up. So I don't like it when they show up all about themselves.
Very good. Yeah. That's just, ugh. And that's it is a common answer. But I like the one about being vulnerable. I think you are the first person who said that about what they like. So that's so fun. I love talking to different people and hearing all about their perspectives, especially when it comes to networking. So, Rodger, where can people find you if they want to know more about this follow-up system that you have built?
Yeah, they can go to it's NetEffect. That's NETEFFECT, neteffect.io. You can find information there. You can always reach out to me at support@neteffect.io. So any of those ways you can reach out to me, or you can just go to the page and read about it.
If we have listeners in the Charlotte area, where can they go to find more about your actual networking organization?
Yeah, they can go to networkbuildgrow.com, and you can see what the group is about. You can also see our calendar of events. You can see which ones are open to the public. We have both public and membership only events. So lots of ways for people to get involved.
Yeah, check that out. It's a great calendar, very robust. So thank you so much, Rodger, for coming on to the Networkers Tour Guide and telling us about follow-up and telling us, I think the biggest takeaway that I got was that we need to change how we believe follow-ups can help us. And so a healthy fear of missing out, that's really, really good. So thank you for sharing this knowledge with us. And thank you for serving business owners in this very valuable way that you do through a follow-up system.
Well, thanks for having me, Faithann, and I love what you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
You've been listening to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast with Faithann Basore. Share this episode with a friend and be sure to come back next week for more networking tips and tricks from the Networkers Tour Guide.